gummy bear.
Hey everybody, welcome to Game Mess Mornings with me, Jeff Grubb, your host from giantbomb.com. Thank you for tuning in. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the next big Nintendo Direct getting announced and more. It's going to be a good one because we have Lex Slutty on the show. I read it anyhow. I wrote her down here. She actually couldn't end up doing the show. So I got Jan Ochoa. Jan, how are you doing?
That's right, folks. I don't give off enough energetic exuberance as Lex would today, but hey, I'll hold down the fort.
Too much for me sometimes. Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
Yeah. I won't make you feel bad that you're old. I'm old. You're old. We're all old.
We're all old, everybody. Yeah. We're going to get into things here very soon. But Jan, how was your weekend?
Oh, a lot of sleeping, Grubb. I did not
same.
anticipate as much sleep and rest that I needed, but hey, we're there and we're back. It's Monday. Folks, you should go check out the Summer Game Fest vlog. We affectionately called it a quick look of Summer Game Fest. I might be working on the mustard cut.
Ooh, all right. Yeah, there is an extended mustard cut that once existed. Did you find even more footage to put in there?
Well, I put it up on Frame, and for folks that don't know, Frame is like a reviewing website where you upload a draft and your team members can comment over it. And I think the general consensus was with Backlar and Dan, like, oh, we should cut this down. This is too much. I wanted to release the full mustard cut in the original vlog, but maybe we'll just have to save it for maybe later this week.
Yeah, that's the special stuff, everybody. Yeah, it's a great vlog. I really enjoyed that. I like doing that stuff. Like we go out there, we travel. Yeah, it's fun and be like, oh yeah, that stuff should end up in the video. Like when we're doing that, we're just hanging out, and then the camera comes down. It's like, yeah, maybe this will be in there. I don't really think about it too much, and then you see the video, and it's like, oh yeah, this is fantastic stuff. And everyone did a really good job. All right, let's explain ourselves here. This is Giant Bomb. You can go to giantbomb.com/join to support us if you like us. We're a handful of people trying to make this work. Every little bit helps, and we appreciate everyone who has supported us so far. As this show goes, most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you were watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Donkey Kong Bonanza Direct revealed for Wednesday, the 18th of June, 2025. That's 2 days from now.
Whoa.
This comes from Jim Norman at Nintendo Life. Nintendo has announced that a special Direct focused on Donkey Kong Bonanza will be heading our way this week on Wednesday. The announcement was made via the Nintendo Today app, which is where all news comes from, and it will begin at 2 p.m. BST. Let's see here. For North America, it's a 6 a.m. Direct as normal. Recently, Jan, where they just obviously, they're mad at you. There's no other way around it.
First, they give me a companion pass to the event, and now this again.
Yep, I think they're trying to tell you something. I mean, I don't know what, but that means it'll be 7 a.m. Mountain Time, 8 a.m. in Central Time, and 9 a.m. Eastern. I'll run that talk over, Jan. You just go ahead and sleep.
I appreciate it.
But watch out, because I imagine Dan's probably gonna call you just to shout Bajanza at you. So just stand back.
If anything, my newfound appreciation for Donkey Kong has unlocked another layer in mine and Dan's friendship and companionship, where every time I see Dan, and every time he sees me, Bajanza.
It's great. You guys did it a lot in LA, and it made me happy every time I heard it. So big fan of that. Yeah, I mean, all right, Donkey Kong Bonanza Direct. It's going to be a big, long commercial for that game, and I welcome it.
Sure.
I just saw on social media someone sharing clips or screenshots of a CRT playing that VHS tape, Donkey Kong Country Exposed, which I think was a Toys R Us production. They would send these out to your house, and you could watch a 30-minute infomercial about a video game. And I'm like,
Cool.
these were the Nintendo Directs of my day. I'm glad that's not the way it works now. You can just go ahead and get it online. But I'm excited to find out more about this game, but I'm not expecting too much more in terms of surprises for this game or other
Yeah.
stuff they might try to sneak on to the back of this Direct.
I'm curious to. Does it say how long it'll be?
I don't think we. Oh, let's see here. Yes,
15
it
minutes.
will last for roughly 15 minutes. That's right.
Okay, because I don't know based off of the demo that Dan and I checked out in New York, I don't want to see too much more of the game because of how much of the destructibility is such a big factor of the game that I kind of want to be
Right.
surprised by the environments that you're being thrown in. Also, the initial mine that the game opens up in, I love that the girders look like the Donkey Kong girders from the original game. So I'm very curious and very excited to see the other Easter eggs. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll see a Mario.
Yeah, right. I want to see. I always wanted Mario to be the villain in one of these Donkey Kong games. I don't think that's going to turn out to be the case here either. But I like in Donkey Kong Country. I'm like, man, what if I get to the end and it's just Mario waiting there? He's like, finally, I got my revenge. Um, yeah, I think that you're right. Like that. I don't know how much more I need to see, especially for them emphasizing the sandbox elements of
Right.
listen, you're gonna just punch through this world and find stuff on your own. I mean, I suppose they could show off just how dynamic that could be to a certain extent, but a lot of the joy of that is going to be the surprise of, hey, can I do this? Trying to pull something off, it working, and having like maybe accounting for that and having cool particle effects and all that stuff that just looks excellent. This is one where I clearly at this point we just need to get our hands on it. I need to get
Sure.
my hands on it to be like, hey, is this game going to live up to my expectations? But again, I'm not going to mind that to get a little bit more info. Now, when it comes to Nintendo and other stuff coming out this year, they do have it like it looks like the lineup is pretty set. There's a reason most
Yeah.
people I think are expecting us not to get a direct for like a broader direct for the Switch 2 because it's like okay, there's Pokemon, that's the big
Mhm.
release later this year. Metroid Prime 4 doesn't even have a release date, but this sort of solidifies it, right? We're not going to get a Nintendo Direct for the broad catalog of other games that might be coming this summer, right?
Yeah, I feel like if you already put Pokemon on the calendar for summer to fall to winter, that's already a big release. Metroid Prime, like you mentioned, Grub, doesn't have a release date yet, and they could just spin up a direct to rally behind that. I don't really see the need for Nintendo to like have to bust out anything major, and we haven't even seen like the other third party drops that are going to come out onto the Switch 2 later this year. Uh, I
That's right.
hate it. I wound up getting a Switch 2 over the weekend, Grub. Shouts out to the homie Dan Reb, because I want to play Tactics on that.
Of course, yeah. I mean, listen, it's a good system for if you, especially for third party games that are going to run fine on that thing.
Yeah.
It's really solid place to play that sort of game. So I don't blame you. Did the FOMO get you a little bit where you're like everyone else seems to be having fun with this thing?
100% the FOMO got to me.
Yeah.
The fact that all of y'all had a Switch 2, or at least you, Dan, and Minotti had one and just playing Mario Kart all the time. I'm like, I want to do that.
Yeah, yeah. I've been continuing to play Mario Kart. Dan had a small stream on like Saturday night, I think, where he was playing some of it. And I just hopped in there and continued to have a great time. It's one of those games where when I'm playing it, especially online with friends or in that setting, I've never not had a good time. And then there's just some other stuff when I'm playing by myself where I'm like still not sure about it, but it's clearly a fun game to play. All right. Let's see. Anything else from this direct? Yeah, I don't know. Like word going around is always mixed on this game because I think people just need to play the final product to see how that sandbox element works.
Yeah.
So again, need to just play Donkey Kong Bonanza for myself, and we're not that far away from that being the case. This game is out in basically exactly a month. Really looking forward to that. All right, up next, Mind's Eye review scores hit rock bottom. Now, we've been talking about Mind's Eye, Jan, but no one got review code. So reviews, now that the game has been out for a few days, are finally starting to come in. This is from Marcus Pearson at Game Reactor. Things haven't exactly gone according to plan for Leslie Benzi's first game from his own studio, Build a Rocket Boy, which has made headlines since its release a few days ago, but for all the wrong reasons. Buggy and unfinished and mediocre are just some of the words used to describe Mind's Eye, not to mention the obviously poor sales, with the game peaking at just over 3,300 concurrent players on Steam and currently sitting at fewer than 400 active users at the time of this writing. In our review, which you can read, they have a link here, we noted that the game feels like a 10-year-old GTA knockoff with most of its elements failing to impress. Judging by Metacritic, it seems most others tend to agree. At the time that they posted this, it had a 43 on Metacritic, Jan.
Oh, boy.
It was, then I was like reading some other stuff, 36 on OpenCritic. I checked before we started here, it's down to a 35 on OpenCritic now. So we are talking, like, traditionally deep into the Blight Club territory for this game. Jan, I didn't get like 35 out of 100 bad when I was playing it,
Sure.
but that's because I think I still had blinders on to like the potential scope of the game, which seems much more limited than I originally thought. For people that don't know, MindsEye presents itself as an open world crime action game where you play as like this a paramilitary guy that works for a corporation. Big shocker, it's a video game. And like you're right there like shooting robots and stuff, and then it seems like, okay, well then you're going to turn around and drive away and find your next adventure. But it's much more linear than that. If you ever like go off the path they've given you, it's a game over. And so it's like, oh, is there really just nothing inside of this shell that they've presented to me? And I think if that's the case, and that seems to be the case based on these reviews, 35 out of 100 does seem about right. But it's the boring 35 out of 100.
Yeah, I feel like we used to live in a world, Grubb, where there were a million GTA knockoffs, and that kind of slowed down over time.
Yes, definitely.
It's wild to see another one of these pop up with the pedigree that it does have behind it, and for it to kind of fall flat. Even with the initial trailers, I think everyone was scratching their heads of what is MindsEye? What is this trying to be? What is this supposed to be? And then seeing that it does kind of feel like a very, as some of these reviews are pointing out, unfinished nothing burger. It is a little bit disappointing to see how much effort and money and the big names attached to this, and this is what we get.
Yep, it's making these games is always difficult, even if you are Rockstar, and then having all of the knowledge that was imparted as being the person in charge of these things at Rockstar, it doesn't make it easy. And now here we are, the end result reflecting how difficult that must have been to just get this piece together. There's rumors flying around that the game cost north of like, or around $500 million or something like that. That's a hard thing to measure. Maybe that studio has taken in that much money in terms of investment, and they have used that studio or used that money to start the studio up, and that's being factored into the cost of this first game that they've released. But I mean, either way, listen, I believe this game was probably very expensive, because even trying to mimic what GTA is doing at this point would require a ton of money, especially if you're starting from scratch, which this game effectively was. Meanwhile, it is actually selling okay in some territories. Never mind the reviews. MindsEye creeps into the top of the UK sales charts. This is from Jake Valentine at DualShockers. We're halfway through 2025, but already here is our year's biggest flop. MindsEye, which is developed by one of the former lead developers for Grand Theft Auto, is the worst reviewed game of the year. We already had an inkling that the game would be bad, but its launch highlights just how broken the game is. Content creators were told at the last second that they were unable to stream the game like they had promised. The AI is a complete mess, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, it came out, and it is behind some of the other bigger releases of the week, as well as perennial favorites like EA Sports FC 25 and even Hogwarts Legacy. So the best-selling games in the UK for the week of June 14th are Mario Kart World, then EA Sports Football Club 25, then Hogwarts Legacy, then MindsEye. MindsEye outperformed Cyberpunk Ultimate Edition, which, probably got a boost from Switch 2. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe then is at number 5. So I guess that's the other story, is there's 2 Mario Kart games now in the top 10, which is just silly. Okay, so to me, this is the kind of thing where I see this, it's like, yeah, that's normal. Where when I would grow up, if a game had any marketing budget at all, if it had a name that even got like a couple of headlines in a video game magazine, even if it was terrible, it would at least find an audience in that first week of people who are just like, hey, a new video game. This thing is in that genre I like. I'm going to try that. This one seems to be like having that to a certain extent, at least in the UK. I don't know if it's happening everywhere. But I don't know. I guess this game is kind of notorious now. You think that's what's happening here? Or people are just curious and this was before they even knew it was bad?
I can't factor it in that it's specifically the UK's morbid curiosity to check out a terrible game. Maybe the UK is a big fan of Blight Club. We should check out our demo. That they just want to participate and get ahead of themselves. It can't be also the curiosity or the desire to check out something GTA adjacent with GTA 6 getting delayed. I don't know, Grubb. I don't understand, actually. Especially with all these other games that are on the top 10 here. It's also still astounding that Hogwarts Legacy is number 3 over there in 2025.
That also probably got a boost from Switch 2 because it has Switch 2 version, and that audience probably didn't jump on the Switch 1 version all that fast because they were worried about performance, and now this solves that. Also, UK Hogwarts, they just Harry Potter still does very well there.
I had always assumed that in the UK, it was one of those things of like, yeah, that's her thing, I guess. That they're semi-embarrassed by it, but maybe not. Maybe that's a total misread on my part.
In a post-Empire world, you just cling to the things that you are close to your heart, as we're finding out here in a real shameful way.
And any person that we used to work with that's from the UK, anytime I mentioned how much I love Doctor Who, they kind of scoffed at me. So I don't know.
That does happen. I've heard stories of like guys going to Japan and starting to talk about anime and being mocked mercilessly. So it's like, I think people are like, I don't want to hear about it, white boy, get out of here. They don't say that in the UK for obvious reasons. All right, let's see here. Yeah, Mind's Eye. Listen, we are probably we're quickly approaching the point, Jan, where we have the last Mind's Eye story on here and that we never talk about it again. Did we learn anything from this? Has anything changed?
I don't think anyone has learned anything from this, Grubb. Except that Seb turns into spaghetti, and that's about it. Seb's dead.
Yep. We got that Seb Getty out there doing its thing. Yep, I agree. And like, I guess part of me is maybe a little bit relieved or happy that the video game industry can still produce weird, just flops like this, where it's it's not always going to be possible for a bunch of money to float into the games industry for someone to try to make a thing that's just way too big for you to even attempt to make. And the fact that some people think that video games are still worth making that bet sometimes, like, okay, there's still something happening here.
The lesson that I wish would be learned from this, from Mind's Eye and other similar-ish games is maybe you don't need to make a game this big. Lower your scope.
Lower the scope. Absolutely. I mean, imagine if Mind's Eye was like one city block, a really dense city block worth of stuff, and it's like, all the buildings were populated or something like that. But yeah, they don't have to do an entire world or whatever that they didn't even end up using in Mind's Eye to any real effect. So yeah. All right, let's keep going here. Let's get into the Xbox section of the show. There's a bunch of Xbox stories here, starting with a new Xbox handheld. Release date and price leak is now out there, and according to this leak, it won't be cheap, the handheld that is. This is from Alex Coe at DualShockers. At the recent Xbox Games Showcase, Microsoft shut down the rumors once and for all, as the company officially announced the Xbox Handheld Project, which is now officially called the ROG Xbox Ally X from Asus. If you're thinking of buying it, you might want to make sure you have enough coin tucked away, as it won't be cheap. The latest rumor comes from the reliable Ecstasis, who posted a video about the upcoming Xbox handheld's price point, at least in Europe. And as a note, like, Ecstasis had a bunch of Xbox stuff recently that I've checked in on, and most of it sounds accurate to me. So, let's operate under the assumption that maybe this is it. According to the leaker, pre-orders will begin in August. That's the release date. Like in the headline there, it's the release date leaks. I think this is the only date they have in here. So pre-orders for August with the assumption, Jan, I think that it would come out soon after that. With the price as follows, and this is in euros, so maybe add an extra $50 on top of any of this. The Raj Ally White, which is the slightly less powerful variation, is 600 euro. The Raj Ally X Black, which is the far more powerful, and I think has might have the Z2 Extreme in it. Is that right? Either way, it's got a nice chip in there. Maybe it's not the Z2 Extreme yet. That one's 900 euro. So that's pretty spendy. I guess, does that change things for you? Let me ask you out front. Like, we've talked about it a bunch. I can't remember, Jan. Is this a handheld that you were ever considering in the first place?
It's like it's a very long consideration process with this specific one, Grubb. Just because, I mean, it'd be great to get Game Pass games on a mobile device in an easy way. But I'm not chomping at the bit to grab this specific Asus Roger X unit Ally. Shouts out to being an ally, especially seeing the price tag attached to it.
Yep. If it's, right there bordering on $1,000 for the variation that I think would be the most interesting for me personally, because if I'm going to get another handheld, especially if I'm spending my own money at this point, I want to see a pretty significant update, upgrade over the handhelds I'm using right now. And, I thought like actually there's still some debate and chat about whether it's a Z2 Extreme or not, which would be the upgraded chip. I thought that might be the wave after this one. But either way, like I was looking at the specs at LA or when we were in LA when they announced this thing. And it's like, okay, yeah, the memory bandwidth and the amount of RAM in this thing is pretty impressive, like 24 gigabytes. It's wild. So it's going to be an upgrade in some ways. But the Steam Deck set a floor for me, or set an expectation of around $600, $600 to $700 for the good variation. And so we're going to put a little bit of Xbox, stank on top, and that's going to make it worth another $300.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. When you cross that threshold of $600 for a handheld device, I don't know what kicks inside of my brain of like, ugh, that's a little too much for me now. And yeah, just having a little bit more Xbox stank on it, Grubb, is not enough to persuade me.
Yeah, and I, seeing this price, like I start to get the idea of Microsoft has put on hold or effectively canceled its own personal reference hardware, which it might still, make internally or something like that to show to partners. But it doesn't sound like they're turning that into a product anytime soon. You kind of get the sense of, them wanting to subsidize hardware, and they're already doing that a lot of times with the standard Xbox. Do they really want another product that they have to subsidize, or do they want to just keep working with third parties who will just charge what they have to charge, and then Microsoft can focus on the OS side of things, the operating system side of things, and then kind of let prices do what it needs to do on the hardware side of things. It sounds like a headache they want to avoid, because there probably just is no good way to get these things in that $600 to $700 range that I'm used to. That's actually that was an extreme example, because Valve seemed to be subsidizing a significant portion of that because they knew they would make it up on the back end by selling video games to people. Before that happened, before the Steam Deck came out, Jan, there was a number of these handheld PCs from a bunch of different companies, a lot of Chinese companies that were not trying to overcharge. They were trying to like form a market. And even those were like $1,200 to $1,300. So, okay, yeah, we're doing better than that. And I expect this Xbox handheld to be very capable and very nice to use. But I don't know. For me, we're talking about $900. That's a non-starter.
Yeah, $900. That's a little too steep. It's a little too rich for my taste, Grubb.
Yep. Meanwhile, there is a rumor about the next Xbox console.
Nah, you're joking.
Emphasis on console and not PC. That's the long-time rumor here is that the next Xbox console would actually just be a PC and have like a console skin on top. Nope, sounds like it's going to be a traditional console. This is from Jonas Mackey at Game Reactor. There's been a lot of talk about the next generation Xbox, with Microsoft making no secret of the fact that they are working on it and claiming it will be very powerful. Some leaks suggest that the console will be more closely related to a Windows PC in terms of hardware, in order to be able to run games from Steam, for example. It's, a rumor we've talked about a lot. But now comes a rumor that claims the exact opposite. The well-known leaker Extasys draws attention to a claim from AMD insider Kepler, stating that the next Xbox will be a traditional console after all. And this seems to be at least partially backed up by Windows Central editor Jez Corden, who, in response to another Extasys post about backwards compatibility, writes that it's true that the next Xbox will work with games from the Xbox, Xbox 360, Xbox One, and Xbox Series S and X with no emulation involved. They would support it on a hardware level. Now, I mean, wait, we're supporting that on a hardware level, all those games. Does that mean there's going to be Xbox One hardware in there? I'm talking about the original Xbox. No, I don't think that's what they mean. I just think it's like actually the hardware version of emulation they've already built, or they have the hardware that runs a certain set of emulation. That'll just be continued going forward. Basically, it's going to be a console and not a PC. And to me, that makes sense, Jam, because we're talking about that in handheld. And one of the things that Xbox seems to be working on, or Microsoft seems to be working on, is ensuring that the Xbox OS wrapper that might be like really coming to Windows in a big way is going to be able to have a robust emulation layer for PC. So it'll be able to play Xbox Series X and S games on PC through an emulation. So do they really need to make the console a PC, or can they just keep going that way, keep all of the backward compatibility that they already have, and then they can just have the PC run that stuff with emulation? Does that make sense? Because it works for me.
It makes sense, Grubb. I was under the assumption that these major console makers would kind of start shifting their approach towards being a little bit more open and embracing that PC market. So I'm a little surprised that this is going to be so strictly console focused versus trying to embrace slowly becoming a PC, especially with Xbox's strategy lately of like, that's an Xbox, that's an Xbox, that's an Xbox. And it seems like their next console is just going to be an Xbox. Yeah, I would have assumed that by kind of making it like some type of hybrid, that you could get those folks that this could be an on-ramp to PC games for some console players, just like the Steam Deck has kind of become that for a lot of players out there. But I guess because Microsoft doesn't have that whole PC market on themselves, that they wouldn't want to spread the wealth, I guess. If anything, I'm kind of more surprised that like they're not trying to push for Game Pass to be on more places.
Yeah, it does seem like they are accepting sort of the stasis that Game Pass has found itself in. The rumor that we've been talking about for a while was like, okay, yeah, the reason they're doing this, and this being the next Xbox will be just a PC, which now this rumor is countering. But the reason that that we were given for that is they wanted to create this version of Windows where it's like, yeah, would present your Xbox games to you, but then you could bring in your Steam games, you could bring in your Epic games and incorporate those stores and hit a button, and you would just see all those games from all those stores on your quote unquote Xbox. And they're kind of over trying to make the Xbox ecosystem this big walled garden that they make all the money off of. It's like, no, we're gonna let everyone in and kind of just make money mostly from our own games, and that's fine because now they have Minecraft and Call of Duty, and they will make enough money from that stuff to fully justify that shift. Okay, but if it is a console, is Steam really going to be able to work on that? And that's actually a little bit less likely now with this. So it's like, yeah, nothing really changes for the most part in terms of, they still have emulation on PC to run these Xbox games, so they will be able to unify in one way, but this other version of unification doesn't seem to be happening, or would be much more difficult. And I don't know what the future of that is.
Yeah. Quick side question, Grubb, that I meant to bring up when we were chatting about MindsEye. I'm curious as to where people are seeing ads for video games these days, just because of how I have YouTube Premium and a bunch of stuff set up on my system. I don't come across too many ads on YouTube. I don't see ads on the streaming services. So is it like TikTok ads? Is it Instagram stuff? Print media is all up and down. So I don't see anything there. I don't see any bus advertisements for games. So
no.
Curious where y'all see the marketing budget of something like MindsEye being spent.
I mean, the as far as I could tell from Mind's Eye, the budget was spent on some Twitch partners to stream the game. Excuse me, which is probably the kind of thing where that is the only time you can actually reach this certain audience, because as you said, they aren't seeing ads in a lot of other places. Maybe Instagram, maybe Reddit, things like that, where that the ads get integrated into their content, so they're a little bit more difficult to miss. And then they don't have the obvious subscription thing that a Twitch has, where it's like, oh, I'm going to watch this one person, I'm going to subscribe to them so I don't see ads. There it becomes easy to avoid as well. So yeah, I mean, I bet still a lot of people do see ads on Twitch. But yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point. The way that these companies can talk to us, there doesn't seem to be a good use of that money when it comes to marketing, because we are so easy to miss.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I see a lot of people saying that they've seen Twitch streamers and various Twitch ads, but not all the normie gamers out there that would want a GTA 6 are watching Twitch or into that live streaming ecosystem. So interesting.
Yep. All right. Well, meanwhile, Xbox might be looking at a way to let people know that, hey, your Game Pass subscription is going to go up in price here pretty soon. A new code string attached to Xbox Game Pass suggests that a price increase is maybe imminent. This comes from Jez Corden at Windows Central. Microsoft recently raised the price of Xbox game consoles. Then it raised the price of games to $80. Outer Worlds 2, I should say, is going to be $80. Call of Duty is probably going to be $80 as well. Next on the list might be Game Pass, which actually, makes a lot of sense. You're raising the price of all these games. Well, now Game Pass is worth more, so we could charge more for it. Over the past year, Microsoft and other companies have been gradually increasing the price of their products and services, blaming things like Trump's tariff war, sticky inflation, and consumer confidence. Whatever the reason, shareholders don't seem to be too bothered, with megacorps like JP Morgan, BlackRock, and Vanguard set to earn millions via Microsoft's dividends payouts this quarter. But hey, hedge funds could always use some more, right? After raising the price of Xbox consoles and now controversially Xbox games to $80, Microsoft may also be on the cusp of raising the price of Xbox Game Pass too. Red Phoenix, that's what I'm going to say here. It's REDPHX, who builds the rather amazing Better xCloud Xbox Cloud Gaming Enhancement Project, noticed that the Xbox Cloud Gaming recently had an update for a new notification type dubbed subscription price increase. And that's all like one word, like you would see it actually in the code, like a code string. And that got added over the past couple of days. The string pertains to pop-ups that Xbox Cloud Gaming serves to players who enable notifications on the Xbox.com/play web app. Most of them are innocuous enough, like reporting on rewards earned, achievements unlocked, and blah, blah, blah. But now this one will tell you when the price is going up. And Jen, I guess I don't know if this one thing actually really indicates that a price increase is imminent any more than it's like always imminent, right? The price of these things is always just going to keep gradually climbing across the board. And that these things being game prices or the price for a subscription service like this, right?
Yeah, 100%, Grubb. Like, this is writing on the wall. It's to be expected that this was coming a very long time ago, that not just Game Pass, but subscriptions across the board are going to find some way to justify, like, we got to raise the price by $1 or more.
Yep, or more. And yeah, I mean, I think that one price increase is a prelude to another. So $80 Outer Worlds 2, that game comes out later this year, and people turn to each other and go, well, I'll just get Game Pass, because it's, I get Game Pass Ultimate for $20 a month. I'll play that game and I'll play this game. And that, it's 4 months before I've paid $80, and I will be able to have played that game as well as a bunch of others in that time. It's an easy story to tell. And then Microsoft goes, yeah, it feels like a really good deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's good enough that you would probably pay $22.99 a month, right? Like three extra dollars. What's that? That still only adds up. Like in 3 months, you still have not paid what you're going to pay for this game. It's just an obvious story that they can tell, and it does speak to the fact, though, Jan, that we are at a point where it's like, oh, we're being manipulated in that way. Instead of, hey, we're going to manipulate you by putting more features in here, making it feel like a necessary thing that you absolutely can't miss out on.
Mm-hmm.
It is now like just price manipulation back and forth to get us to pay more for all these things. And hey, that's their right. You have a product, you could try to do that. But a lot of people are gonna like start waking up and being like, oh, I hate the way this feels now. This used to feel like a good deal. I'm kind of over it now.
Yeah. Again, this is what I'm about to say is my personal beliefs and everything. Grubb, I chose recently to unsubscribe from Game Pass just to participate in the BDS protests that are, pinpointed. Microsoft is one of those targets.
And Game Pass is a specific thing as well, yes.
Yeah, and Game Pass is a specific thing. And kind of just where Xbox has been headed lately, and the decisions that they've been making. I've just decided, like, you know what? I'm not going to participate in this. Small ways where your dollar can count as a voice or a vote to protest something.
Yep. And again, that BDS is Microsoft is complicit in what's happening in Palestine, according to the BDS movement. You can read more there. All right, let's see here. Well, I guess this continues the Xbox stories here. Oh, wait, did we take a break? You know what? Let's take a break, and then we'll get to the rest of these headlines. If you don't want to have these breaks, go to giantbomb.com/join. It gets you ad-free shows, so you can listen to this without this break, and we'd come right back right now instead of after this. This episode of Giant Bomb is brought to you by giantbomb.com/join. Join us there, become a member. It helps us make fun stuff. It gets you ad-free content. It also helps us make some extras here and there that we'll give exclusively to you as members. It's giantbomb.com/join for $10 a month or $100 a year, where you save $20. You can support us in making all the cool stuff that we make over here at Giant Bomb. Once again, that's giantbomb.com/join. Become a member now. It's Game Mess Decides. I'm Jeff Grubb. That's Jan Ochoa. And yeah, my hair's grown a little bit since
Game Mess Decides? It's Tuesday night? What?
Game Mess Mornings. Oh no, my brain is broken.
Oh no.
It's Monday. I don't even have to do that show tonight. So yeah, what am I talking about? But hey, I got Mike Minotti with me. Hey, there he is. Oh my god. Oh my
I'm
goodness.
Mike Minotti.
Jan, there was did you see that Lilo and Stitch?
I did.
I thought it was okay.
I thought it was okay. It was completely fine.
It's completely fine. Like it joins the ranks of the live action movies where it's like, even if I have seen it, there is no way this is the movie I'm going to be thinking of in a year when I say, hey, we should watch Lilo and Stitch.
No, yeah.
Like there's no chance of that.
Yeah, I've thought that way. Like, I thought The Little Mermaid was okay, and I just don't think about that live action movie at all anymore.
Right.
I did watch the first 20 minutes of the Snow White live action movie, and I'm a big fan of Rachel Zegler. I think she was fantastic at the West Side Story, fantastic in that Hunger Games movie, fantastic voice across the board. But oh God, was that really hard to get through?
It looks bad. That's one where I'm like not even gonna like bring it up. Hey kids, do you want to watch this? Because I'm good. I don't know if I need that one. How to Train Your Dragon though, live action DreamWorks remakes. That one came out this weekend. That one I will have to try to track down. The kids love that stuff.
The thought in the household came up of like, oh, should we watch the original before we watch the live action? And then I thought, it's just gonna be like a carbon copy. I don't know if I want to see the same story twice.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm curious to see how the summer box office will go for the gang over at /Filmcast, because I cannot predict this summer box office at all.
Yeah, this one, I think it's already been a wild summer in terms of box office. So yeah, they do a box office guessing game each summer, is what Jan's referencing. It's like should be time for an update on that here pretty soon. So I'm curious. All right, let's see here. We were going to talk about Minecraft's vibrant visuals update, and it finally has a release date. Let's talk about that. This is from Vicky Blake at Eurogamer. Minecraft's vibrant visuals update finally has a release date of the 17th of June. We've known for some time that Mojang was planning on a visual overhaul for Minecraft, and yesterday, The studio released a new video not only reminding us that the vibrant visuals, or what vibrant visuals brings to the game, improving visual elements such as directional lighting, volumetric fog, and more, but also how the team achieved it. And the new feature really does elevate the world of Minecraft, as the developer explains. Every biome has its own atmosphere now. So warmer biomes will look more orange and yellowish, while cooler ones will take on a crisper blue appearance. There's, some comparison screenshots. There's like reflection on the water now. Like, it's not like a completely different game, but the sun has some luminance to it instead of just being a white block in the sky. That sort of thing. It's the kind of stuff where people have messed around with mods. You have almost certainly seen this sort of thing before, but now they're building into the game. It is an option. So if you want to turn it off and get the original nostalgic visuals from, let's just do the years. 15 years ago, actually, no. 16 years ago. So if you want this, 16-year-old visual style, then that's still an option for you for the most part. But yeah, vibrant visuals. This is mostly interesting to me, Jam, because my kids are playing a lot of Minecraft, so Minecraft is top of mind. But also, they've promised big visual upgrades before and not delivered on it. There was going to be HD textures or something like that, and then they kind of backed off, and then they were going to do a big ray tracing update, and I don't know if that ever really came about. I mean, I know there was the beta on the Java side, but I don't know for Bedrock if it ever got that stuff. So, hey, this is a visual upgrade that Minecraft is actually getting, and it's out in a day.
Cool. Yeah, that's great for folks that may have only ever played or can only play Minecraft on a console where you can't get a texture pack downloaded from the internet, because there's been stuff like this going on for forever. I remember when this website was playing Minecraft super hardcore during the pandemic. A lot of us had explored different texture packs, maybe even joined a couple Patreons, I think, just to get some cool graphics upgrades, because if you got to spend time building with blocks, Grubb, might as well look nice.
I mean, ray tracing is one of the best examples of the full global illumination and all that stuff, which is really heavy on systems. Well, it works good in Minecraft because Minecraft has a low overhead in terms of visuals. So, I liked messing around with ray tracing in there and seeing how light could bend through one block into another room and stuff like that. It was really neat to play around with the physics of that. But this isn't ray tracing. It's just kind of a slight visual upgrade. But yeah, I think it looks nice. All right, Nintendo Switch 2 sets all-time launch record for hardware in the US, beating the PlayStation 4. This is from Jordan Midler at VGC. Nintendo Switch 2 has set a new record by enjoying the biggest launch week of any game's hardware in US history. The record previously held by the PS4 has been smashed by Nintendo's console, which sold 1.1 million Nintendo Switch units in the US during its first week on sale. In the US, almost 80% of players who purchased a Nintendo Switch 2 also purchased Mario Kart World, either as a standalone physical game or as part of the hardware bundle, which included the game as a pack-in title. I'm almost surprised that's not 100%.
Yeah.
Over 80% for sure, of course. But it's man, who is getting a Switch 2 and not getting Mario Kart World? I wonder if it's I'll just get it next week or something like that. Yeah, it's bizarre.
Yeah.
Overall, though, this system's obviously doing very well. This is more of an opportunity to talk about hey, that first week did happen. We're on the other side of all the introduction of the Switch 2. How's it going so far? What do you think of it so far?
It's a great piece of tech, Grubb. Just being able to play all those original Switch 1 games with increased performance and frame rate. It's nice to not have to compromise on that. There's a couple titles I haven't checked out yet that I don't know if actually have an update. I would love to see a Xenoblade Chronicles 3 update on the Switch 2.
Yeah, it's one I haven't heard about, so I'm assuming it probably doesn't have anything yet.
Yeah, so if that comes down the line, I would love to fire that back up, just because while that game did as much as it could, squeezing the Switch 1 to its absolute limits, I would like to see what potentially the Switch 2 could do for that. But yeah, I've been playing a lot of Splatoon 3 over the weekend. Holy smokes, Grubb! Those kids just splatting all over the place. Also,
they got real good at it.
People are too good at this game.
Yes, yeah, it's wild. I mean, obviously, the people who are still playing are still there. When I was checking it myself over the weekend, and it was Yeah, just getting crushed. But I was holding my own well enough. I think this is one of those games where it's like I do want to play it. We should rope in some friends and force them to play with us, so we have someone more our speed. That would be a good time. But yeah, I think that looking at that 80% number, I bet there is a handful of people, as chat was pointing out, that were like, hey, now I'm going to play Tears of the Kingdom. And boy, they're in for a real good experience there.
Oh boy,
I think there's a chance that like that the fervor for that game dying down the way it has, and now people being like, I have a new system. I have this game that I've been waiting to play, and it runs better than ever. Let's check it out. I think people are going to be just like rediscovering Tears of the Kingdom for the next couple of years because of this very reason, and it's going to really blow people away. That game is better than even its reputation.
Oh, 100%. I think one of my favorite games of all time now. I need Brad Shoemaker to finally play Tears of the Kingdom. God damn.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know those guys are always pretty down on the Switch hardware and being pretty old. Hey, now you got the Switch 2. If he was able to track one down, I know that he was struggling with the pre-orders, which that he wasn't alone in that. I hope he gets a chance to check out Tears of the Kingdom as the last boy who played Breath of the Wild.
The very last cool boy to play.
Exactly. All right. That does it for the headlines. You know what, Jay? We have a little bit of time. You want to do a slight Grub Snacks transfusion into here and take one or two questions from the chat?
Yummy.
There you go, everybody. Yummy like a gummy bear. All right, chat, Twitch or YouTube. If you have a question, shoot. We'll answer your question, and then we'll get on with the rest of the show and the rest of the week. Let's see here. How does MindsEye flop affect IOI? I mean, this was IOI, IO Interactive's publishing efforts, right? And it's the first major foray into that. If anything happens, I think it is a big sort of rock in the road, a boulder sort of like in their way. Now that they'll have to move out of the way before they can get those publishing efforts like back up and running in a really strong way. Maybe this derails that a little bit. I don't know if it does much to the studio side of things. The side that was making games. I would imagine, Jan, that when you're doing the publishing stuff, you're doing it with a separate bucket of money that just cannot affect what's happening with those games, because it's like this is a new chance to try something new, and you're not going to start funneling funds out of the game to have this bet that is supposed to be an additive thing while you have the foundation of we want Hitman to continue to grow and we want to make a new James Bond game. You don't want to screw that up, right?
Yeah, I can't imagine that they would fudge with that like a war chest too much to publish a game. So I hope this also serves as a valuable lesson to IOI to maybe lower their scope in what they want to help publish.
Yeah, I mean, yes, and like even for your own games, right? Like James Bond, a globe-trotting adventure that it's bound to be. I still think you should do things the IOI way, which is when we have these levels we've never made something bigger than like, say, a city block or maybe even smaller than that. I guess the suburban area was like, yeah, that's about a city block. Like don't go beyond like too far outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Or if you're going to do that, to make sure you're doing it in a really smart way. Maybe scope and scale is not necessarily the ideas you should be approaching there. I would just like to see more interesting interactions between things. I think that's where IOI is very good. Totally. Maybe take that stuff to the next level.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right. Let's see. Any other questions? Any thoughts on the sale of Nexus mod to an unidentified buyer? No. Let's take a look at this. Okay. Yeah. This happened today. An update from Dark One. Of course, the head modder is Dark One. After almost 24 years of running Nexus mods, the time has come for me to step back from the day-to-day management of the site. This isn't a decision I've made lightly, far from it, but one I think is both in my and the community's best interests. I started the project back in 2001 in my bedroom with a 56K modem and excitement for upcoming release of Morrowind, and with no grand ambitions or intentions. I'm happy to hear that the Origin was a Bethesda game. Let's see here. I didn't set out to build a business. I just wanted to make a place where modders could share their work without worrying it would vanish into the internet either the next time a fan site went offline or a publisher decided they were done with it. That idea grew legs, sprouted arms, and turned into Nexus mods. Since then, the site has been my entire adult life. Every single day for over 2 decades, I've been on call, whether it was fixing issues, reading feedback, pushing updates, or getting pulled into the latest bit of community drama. A drama in a scene, Jan? I dare not believe that.
What?
It's been rewarding, sometimes chaotic, often exhausting, and always personal. Somewhere along the way, I forgot to step back and breathe or sleep properly. The dilemma of running a major social network that does not rest. Yeah, you don't think about it, but yeah, this is just like a thing that like is people's lives and their social network. Yeah, they're updating stuff and uploading things. Either way, I guess okay. So they're selling it, and it's to someone unknown. So yes, the ownership of Nexus Mods has changed hands, but I want to be clear: this isn't some corporate exit or a backroom deal. This is me doing something I probably should have done years ago, taking care of myself, reclaiming some headspace, and finally letting go of the idea that I have to do everything and be responsible for everything myself. So to me, it sounds like he probably sold it to someone who's familiar with Nexus Mods, so
Yeah.
that he could just step back. That seems to be what's happening here. Yeah, interesting. I'm someone who's used Nexus Mods. I hope it is a resource that will not suffer anything and go away by any chance. All right. Slay McAwesome dropped a super chat, which is a good way to get the questions read. Have you rewatched Andor season 2? Any new thoughts? As I was watching it, I would watch the 3 episodes on Tuesday, and then throughout the rest of the week, I would try to like kind of slowly rewatch them. So I've already watched the season twice. I did actually start it up again recently. It is still the only thing I want to be watching. I'm gonna miss it.
It is so good. Specifically, shouts out to the people on the internet finding where Andor season 2 intersects with other shows like Star Wars Rebels.
Oh yeah.
So that's fun to see. Grubb, if anything, Andor just makes me appreciate the original trilogy even more.
Oh yeah.
Even to an extent, I think it boosts the prequel trilogy. And it kind of absolutely makes me so upset with the sequel trilogy. And how we got there. Jesus fucking Christ. Also, Ben Mendelsohn coming in for what, 10 minutes of screen time and fucking dunking on everyone? Jeez, so good.
Yeah, he was chewing it up. Yeah, everyone's so good in that show. It's incredible. Yeah, I'm gonna rewatch it again right now. I was I was watching that Light and Magic documentary, which is the ILM documentary. The first season was actually directed by Lawrence Kasdan.
Ooh.
So it's like, the writer of Empire Strikes Back and the director of Big Chill. Awesome director. He directed that during COVID, and then they wanted to do a second season, and Joe Johnston directed that. He's, original artist on Star Wars alongside Ralph McQuarrie, and then he would go on to direct a bunch of movies and stuff like that. So yeah, like he did Jurassic Park 3, I think. All right.
I did do the thing, Grubb, where I hate that I do this, where I think like, oh, that person would be great in a Marvel movie. But this time I realized, oh crap, you're already in one. Where I thought Stellan Skarsgård, absolutely loved his performance in season 1 and 2 of Andor. Jesus Christ. But I was thinking, oh man, he would be a great Doc Ock for what's his face? Not Timothy Chalamet. What's his face?
Yeah.
I
want to say
Zendaya.
Tom
Holland.
Not Tom Arnold. That's a different man.
But Stellan Skarsgård is already in the MCU in the Thor movies.
Yep, that's right. At a certain point, it could be like Columbo. On the Columbo, they like there'd be a killer, and then several like a season later, that actor who obviously can't be that person again, he's already been caught, will just play a whole new person. Yeah. I'm like, I love that, and I want to see more of that in Marvel. Why not? Although I guess we're getting it with RDJ. He's going to be playing a different character. Although I think that's a work. All right, yeah, Andor, very good. I do super recommend it, and it's like has legs and is becoming part of the popular culture right now because of the how it speaks to what's going on. So
yeah. Folks, I cannot emphasize enough, if watching Andor has not radicalized you even a little bit, what is going on?
Yeah, it kind of like there's a bunch of like social media accounts that like just post about Star Wars and Marvel stuff, and now they're like posting about the protests that are happening and stuff like that, and what's happening in LA, and they're like, this looks just like Andor. Like, isn't that crazy? And it's like, yeah, man, this show really woke you up, pop culture crave.
Wow.
On Blue Sky. All right, let's go. Okay, let's get to the poll question. This one is from last week. Let me refresh my page here. Or is it not going to work? Let me try to delete that. Get a new one here. Giant Bomb, or youtube.com/Giant Bomb, and you go to the community tab, and we can go ahead and post. Is that what it's called now? They move it. There we go.
Yeah.
All right. Do you still play Minecraft? Is going to be the new one. Do you collect physical video games? Yes or no? 56% said no. 44% said yes. I have not collected physical video games in a long time, and I don't know if I ever would consider myself someone who collected them. I would acquire them to play the game. Jan, were you ever someone that collected video games or does so now?
No, I do not have the space nor desire to collect games. I understand everyone has their interests, but it's just never been my bag.
Yeah, I'm like same way where I have a physical video game and I do get nice happy feelings from holding it, but it is separate from the feelings of remembering playing the game.
Right.
And I just like those are two different hobbies at a certain point, and I don't need the one that, like you said, will clutter up my home and kind of just give me a headache when I am missing something. It's like, I don't want to deal with that. But yeah, 44% do collect video games still. That's a pretty high number, I think. Yeah. Even when we're talking about, this is, your audience, Giant Bomb, they're the kind of people that would collect video games. Even in that context, I think almost half of the people saying, yes, I collect physical video games is pretty high. And I think it shows like, you just can't give up on this space anytime soon. And really what you should be doing is trying to find ways to make this space more relevant to a modern audience and to a modern business sensibility. Like if it has to be a more bespoke thing, a more specialized thing, that's fine, but you can't ignore these people's money. These are the kind of people that spend a lot of money on video games. And this is, had 5,000 votes. So a huge response here from people wanting to make it known that they do collect physical video games. All right, like as I mentioned, the new poll question is, do you still play Minecraft? Yes, no, or never did. We'll get the results of that and talk about it on Game Mess mornings on Wednesday here on Giant Bomb. Speaking of Giant Bomb, Jan, what do we have going on? Are we going to do that trailer roundup today?
Yeah, let's go do that trailer roundup today. We're going to have a meeting right after this, folks, to figure out what we got going on for the rest of the week. But it should be business as per usual now that Summer Game Fest is out of the way. So Bombcast tomorrow, Game Mess mornings from Wednesday to Friday. A Blight Club, I believe, maybe the last one for Mikey. Maybe. I have no idea.
Rascal's wrapping up. Yeah, it could be.
It could be. Voicemail dump truck and a UPF of sorts, folks. And, we'll scatter in some quick looks if we get the time to record those. But also,
that's right.
If you missed it last week, we re-uploaded and mixed the audio for the GB at Night, night 1 and night 2. They're all broken up into separate breakouts, so if you want to watch a specific couch segment, they are there for your viewing pleasure, as well as the vlog from Summer Game Fest. Please go check those out.
All right, excellent. With all that in mind, we should probably wrap up this show. We're going to do like the trailer roundup of stuff we either missed or really liked from Summer Game Fest and PlayStation State of Play and the Xbox Showcase and all those other showcases. If you want to hit me on Blue Sky, you still time to add your favorite trailer to the potential consideration there. We'll react to a bunch of that today. It'll be later, probably like an hour from now, hour and a half from now.
Probably.
We'll let y'all know for sure. Like Jan said, we got to go get the meeting and solidify all this stuff right now. So we'll get to that. With that in mind, Jan Ochoa, thank you so much for hanging out with me today, man, and talking about video games. I really appreciate it.
I'm sorry, everyone, that I'm not Lex Luddy.
Yeah, apology accepted. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. You are the best audience in gaming. And as a reminder, giantbomb.com/join. Come join us there. Make this all possible. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.
Yummy like a gummy bear.